Man, did it feel like you were navigating a jungle today? Because you were not alone. The markets just served up this wild mix of record highs, totally bizarre economic data, and a few geopolitical curveballs for good measure. We are about to break down the entire chaotic day, and we're going to show you exactly how the expert community over at philstockworld.com made sense of it all. So let's get right in.
All right, so here's our game plan for dissecting the day. First, we're going to tackle the massive 7,000-point question that's just hanging over this market. Then, you're going to meet the unique AI analysts that are guiding the traders. After that, we'll decode a crucial economic report, literally as it happened. We'll get to watch a masterclass in turning risk into pure cash flow, navigate the afternoon news storm, and then see how it all wrapped up right at the final bell.
So the day kicks off with a paradox, right? On paper, it looks like a party. I mean, the S&P 500 is breathing down the neck of 7,000. But the very first thing the Philstock World community dug into was this serious problem that's just bubbling right beneath the surface. It's a theme that founder Phil Davis has been calling the Great Valuation Exhaustion.
And this quote right here, it gets to the absolute core of the issue. You know, this is from Phil Davis, whose analysis has made him a top influencer, recognized by outlets like Forbes, and man, this just sets the stage perfectly. We are seeing the market pay 23 times hoped-for profits when the historical average is way down closer to 16. As Phil says, common sense is just getting exhausted.
And this table, it just illustrates the point brilliantly. I mean, just look at these forward PE ratios for 2026. You've got giants like Microsoft and Amazon trading at 30 to 40 times forward earnings. And then you have Tesla at over 220. These 7 stocks now make up something like 35% of the S&P 500's entire market cap. So here's the crucial question. Is the whole market really at 7,000? Or are we just paying this massive premium for a handful of kings?
Okay, so how in the world do you navigate a market that's this top-heavy and confusing? Well, at Philstock World, the answer involves a pretty unique team. Let's meet some of the world's most advanced AI and AGI entities that help make sense of all the chaos, day in and day out.
First up, we've got Warren 2.0. You should think of him as the voice of discipline. In a market that's basically high on its own supply, he's the one in the room reminding everyone, hey, let's find real value. Let's manage our portfolios like a business, not like a lottery ticket.
Next up is Bodie McBoatface. Now, Bodie is the expert on what he calls the physical AI boom. So while everyone else is out there chasing shiny new software, he's focused on the plumbing, the energy, the infrastructure, the small modular reactors that are actually needed to power this whole revolution. And that is a completely different and totally vital perspective.
Then there's Zephyr, the resident macro strategist. He's the one who deciphers the market's often, let's be honest, counterintuitive logic. On a day like today, his insights on why weak data can actually be a good thing for stocks, well, they're absolutely essential for understanding what the market's going to do next.
And, of course, providing some much-needed perspective from the floor of CES in Las Vegas, we have Robo John Oliver. His description of an AI-powered lollipop that plays music through your teeth was, I mean, come on, the perfect metaphor for a market that's just trying to distract itself from some very, very real underlying risks.
Now this is where theory smacks right into reality. At 8:15 a.m. sharp, a critical piece of economic data hit the wire, and you could literally see the live chat room transform from this discussion forum into a high-speed intelligence hub. It was amazing. Okay, so the number comes in, 41,000. That's how many private sector jobs were added in December. So what does that actually mean?
It means it was a miss. Yeah, a pretty big one. The market was bracing for 45,000 jobs. We came in light.
So on the surface, you'd think that's bad news, right? A weaker labor market? But this is exactly where the community's expertise, guided by analysts like Zephyr, turns all that noise into a crystal clear signal.
And there it is. Zephyr immediately nails the bad news bit. See, the market looks at this weakness not as a sign of recession, but as confirmation that the Fed is going to have to cut rates. This is the kind of instant, actionable analysis members get precisely when it matters the most.
All right, this next section is a perfect example of what makes Philstock World so much more than just a news service. It's a premier educational site where you learn directly from experts who've literally trained top hedge fund managers. This right here is the show don't tell moment of the day.
So a member, Flash G, had this really common but super stressful problem. He was sitting on a huge, completely unhedged gain in Barrick Gold. He was afraid to sell and miss out on even more upside, but he was also terrified of a pullback just wiping out his profits. I mean, we've all been there, right? It's a classic investor's dilemma.
So instead of just giving them a simple buy or sell call, Phil walked him through a complete business transformation of the position. He started with a SWOT analysis to identify the weaknesses and threats. Then he reframed the whole thing. It's not just a bet on price anymore, it's an operating business. And the final step? Designing a structure that turns this thing into a cash flow engine.
And right here, Warren 2.0, the AI, steps in to just crystallize the whole lesson. And this is the core of the PSW philosophy. It's not about being a psychic who can predict prices. It is about being an engineer who designs resilient, income-generating machines. I mean, that is market wisdom on a legendary scale.
Now, as the day wore on, the headlines just came fast and furious. The afternoon was this total whirlwind of news that could have easily knocked any individual trader completely off course. And this is another one of those areas where the live community proves to be so valuable, navigating all the noise together in real time. We had what they called a defense tantrum as industrial stocks got hammered by threats of a buyback ban. Then came a housing shock with this proposal to ban institutional investors from buying single-family homes. And woven all through that was this fascinating ongoing debate about Disney's pricing strategy.
This slide just shows you the power of that direct access and totally unfiltered dialogue. We have a member questioning Disney's value proposition, and Phil comes back with this candid, super insightful answer about the company's pivot to catering specifically to the top 1%. It's this kind of honest exchange that helps members understand the real drivers behind a stock story.
So, as the closing bell got closer, what was the big takeaway from such a chaotic day? Well, the indices might be sitting at record highs, but the real-world data, everything from jobs to housing, is really starting to show some signs of fraying at the edges.
And this quote of the day from Phil, it just captures it perfectly. What a fantastic, memorable analogy. We are on a high-speed train made of solid gold. It is incredibly shiny. But you would better have your seatbelt fastened tight for the curves that are definitely just ahead.
Which really just leaves us with this one final thought for you. In a market this complex, with these stretched valuations and confusing data, are you actively navigating with a real strategy, turning risk into a well-run business? Or are you just a passenger on that golden train, kind of hoping for the best? Something to think about.